That is hilarious. Yes, we are back for vlog episode number 8.
Oh my goodness. And it's only a few more episodes left. So although we go to the end of the road, but it's been a great ride.
It has been. And I am Lakiesha, and you can connect with me on Instagram at Lakiesha LPC.
And I'm Chanel, and you can connect with me at @singlesinthecity_.
Yes. So, man, oh gosh, what was the title of this episode?
Oh my
I don't
goodness.
remember it.
It was
intense.
like not single, I'm thinking about my blog. It was Love Is, and then it was something Rose, because isn't Rose his Yasir's mother's name? Okay, let's do a quick Google check. Google is my best friend, you know, so anytime you need to know something, you can just Google it, and voila, a few seconds, there it is.
Yes, and you can catch the blog Singles in the City too on Tumblr, or just going to @singlesinthecity_ on Instagram.
Absolutely. And all of that. So it was Love Is Rose Going Home.
Oh,
yeah, I knew it was something like that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So, you know, this episode was just so intense with the different scenes. But of course, it started in the beginning with Yasir calling mom.
Yeah.
And just talking to her, and she had called back and was like, you know, let me talk to Yasir or whatever.
Yeah.
And then he was like, oh, mom, yeah, I'm just here with my friend. Ooh. And when I was like, ooh, how many of us have had the title, right, of like, that's my guy, that's my woman, whatever, but the person is acknowledging you as their friend.
Yes, that has absolutely happened to me, and it's just like, so that's what we gonna do? Like, you just gonna front me in front of this? But I feel like with the parent, it's even more so. Like with his guys, they'll be like, okay, you fronting. Like,
yeah, that's true.
But with the parent, it's like, okay, well, are you really ready to take this leap? Because for you to address me as just a friend to somebody who I know, like, is the most important person to you, then to me, that's just like, I don't know if you're quite ready to take that leap yet.
Yeah, that's a really great point.
Yeah.
Yes. You know what? I don't think I've ever been introduced as the friend. Well, I probably have, but like me and the guy didn't have anything going on, but like we were kicking and stuff, and you just like, but I really like you. So I was hoping that you would be like, hey, this is mine.
and especially with guys, when it's not clear at that point, that's kind of how us as women give them that test. Like, oh, hopefully I run into one of his guys, he can introduce me as his girlfriend. Because then once he does that, then you know it's official. And that situation has totally happened to me, where me and the guy, we were out and we happened to see his friend. He was like, yeah, this my girl. And I was just like, oh! I guess I'm official now. So yeah, that's kind of how us as women, guys, that's what we do. We secretly, if we want to know how serious you are, and if we're officially your girl, we gonna wait until we see you with your homeboys, or your homeboys gonna call you or something, and you're gonna be on the phone like, no, I'm chilling with my girl. Like, that's how we get that confirmation.
Yes, that is so true.
Yeah.
And so, you know, they hang up, but then mom calls back for him to talk to his son.
Yeah.
And that was really
That was cute. That was super sweet. And I'm glad that his mom is being that link for him during that time. And that's why this episode kind of hit close to home for me. A lot of stuff kind of I understood, but this part was just like, okay, I get it, because I did move away and my son did stay behind. He spent a lot of time with my mom and going with my mom, and my mom was really there to be the presence for me, for him. So I was like, okay, I get it. Like, this was good for them to show that.
Yeah, and although like I didn't physically move away, even when I was thinking of taking a job opportunity in another state, you know, it was like, I'm leaving my son and daughter here with the grandparents. You know, so even like having that possibility of me having had moved away, that was something for me, where it was just like, ooh, I don't know, but I need to pursue my stuff to put us in a better place. But yeah, so Yasir is talking to his big man, as he calls him, and he shared that he had just lost a tooth.
And that little boy is so cute.
Too cute. Then they enter the conversation, but you can just see they weighed on him heavy to not be there. Because I believe he was realizing, like, wow, he's growing up.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Absolutely.
And, you know, Nuri totally she was self-aware and could see like, man, like, okay, we have to do something.
Yeah.
And she surprised him with the luggage, like having stuff packed. He like, where you going?
And I thought she was going to be like, you gotta go. Immediately when I thought like you, I'm like, dang, everybody was happening, but
yes, but surprised him. And then like a little letter from the Tooth Fairy with a crisp $5 bill
that
in
was
there.
the cutest thing ever.
I
was like, she getting all the gold star points for me too, because I'm like, goodness, girl, like you know what to do.
Yes, which I thought was so amazing. But it's funny because like I love being in like different like Facebook groups and stuff with therapists because a lot of them watch the show.
Okay.
And of course, you know, they're dissecting. Just like, exactly. I was like, I love us. But it was so funny because many of them was like, Yasir's controlling. He is selfish.
Okay.
Like, you know, and Nuri is like allowing him to like just walk all over her. You know, so how is she gaining her strength and empowerment through that? And I was just like, interesting.
That is interesting that they see that in him. And I wonder if that's the case because he's a man. And that makes me think that because as a woman, I can see a lot of stuff that Yasir does that I do. Like, I'm very, like, in tune with my dreams. So if I want to do something, like, I'm going to do it at all costs. Or maybe that's a Capricorn in me. Like, I'm very, like, much so, like, tunnel vision. If it's something that I want to do, it's by any means necessary to get there. And I don't necessarily know if that's, I mean, in some ways it can be selfish. But in some ways it's the pursuit of that dream. Like I'm so like tunnel vision into that. So I'm wondering if they get that because he's a man. Because women have that too. There are a lot of women who have those things within them as well. So that's really interesting.
Yeah, it is. Like the conversation, that's just like, interesting.
That is. But hey, I mean, good dialogue. I'm glad everybody's watching this show. We can all talk about it for sure.
And
absolutely.
you know, with and granted, you know, some stuff is really based off of Mara and Celine's, but then some stuff is kind of beefed up for, you know, to be able to tell a great story. You know, I was like, how much though of that is Celine?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. But I feel like when everybody speaks of him, they speak of him as it's like someone you want to kind of follow.
Yeah.
And he's very much so a leader. Like he has this like silent, like very leader, kingly quality about him.
Yeah.
And I feel like the actor Will Catlett is doing a great justice to show that on screen. Yeah,
that is such a great point. Yeah. So that's just interesting to know how much of Yasir is really Celine.
Yeah.
So that's just really interesting. So, you know, Nuri has the bags packed, the crisp $5 is like, I'm ready to meet your mom, I'm ready to meet your son.
Yeah.
Like, for me to really get to know you, I have to know them. You know, and I was just like, ooh.
That was good.
But then it was just like, so... Because, you know, I think of like, you know, how they talk about like women shouldn't propose and things like that. But you know, the introduction to meeting one's family, should it been his role to be like, okay, I'm ready for you to meet my parents and my kid? Or is it okay for her to be like, you want to meet them. That's totally fine.
Right.
But I may not be ready for you to meet them.
Right. Ooh, that's good. And I did not think of that. Wow. And that's never happened to me. Like this whole situation, I'm just like, that's new to be like, yeah, we gonna go surprise your mama. So Nuri is definitely making me like reevaluate as a woman and things that, you know, maybe I should consider. But no, that's never happened to me. And typically when I meet somebody's family, it was them. Like, oh, let's go to church, or my family's having a family reunion, like I want you to come, something like that. But it was never me initiating that. And I've never had a guy like be like, oh, I want to meet your mom. Like, let's go over her house right now. Like, no. Because meeting family is, now we getting real. And the show, this episode did a good job of showing that real. Because once you meet somebody's family, you be like, what did I get myself into?
Yes.
Like, you see it for real at that point. Like, you see, you have this person and you're growing to love this person. But what we fail to realize is us as individuals, we come with bags and packages and families and all kind of stuff. So, ooh. Yeah, so I don't know if anybody's necessarily eager, like, come on, let's go meet your mom right now. Like, no, because that's going to open up another door.
Yes, and then, like, if the person isn't around, like, because we've had that in the family where, like, you know, maybe this uncle has introduced maybe, like, 5 women to us, you know, and it's like, oh.
Here we go again.
Okay. And it's funny because, like, my kids are notorious to be like, I thought so-and-so. I was just like,
busting them out. Like, so what happened to what's her name? Like, I like her better. Oh, wait.
So, yes. And for me, I thought of just at the point of being a mother, like, I am very cautious of who I introduce to my kids.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
You know, because I don't want it to be a revolving door. Because, you know, you may not necessarily have those people that stay around forever.
Absolutely.
You know, I remember this guy I was talking to maybe for like a year and a half. He had not met my kids. And I wasn't like fearful of like anything, but I was just like, we're just going to see where this goes. Because we weren't committed to each other. And so I was just like, well, why would I introduce you? Because he would like make mention of it. Like, so, when am I going to meet your kids? And I was like,
I don't know where this is going.
Exactly. Which also was like, okay, if you're going to meet my kids, then I'm saying like, hey, you guys, this is more than a friend.
Right.
You know, but it's also somebody, okay, that I'm seeing myself being married to.
Absolutely.
You know.
I agree with that 1,000%. Because with my son, I don't introduce a lot of guys to him either for those same reasons. I don't know what we doing. Like, if it's not clear what we're doing as a couple, then I'm not going to introduce this third party. And kids get attached very easily. They want to be cool and they remember these people like forever. So it's like, no, I don't want to introduce you too soon. But I feel like in my case too, with my son and, you know, his basketball life, a lot of people do end up knowing him anyway, like, oh, that's little dude. So it's just like, but they find out about him on his own. It's not me like, oh, it's my son, you meet him. So it's a kind of a different dynamic.
Yeah. So what would you do if you had that guy that was like Nuri and was like, I'm ready to meet your mama and your son?
Wow,
and you never brought it up, or you know.
Well, okay, so it depends on how I feel about him. Like, if I was really like interested in this guy, I would be like, wow, like he's really making an initiative to get to know more about me, because that is true. Like, you cannot really understand somebody until you meet their family, and that'll answer a lot of questions that you have about somebody. So I would be like, okay, try to take the initiative, give him little points. So I may make it like a setting where we can all meet together. And I've actually been thinking about this, like how to introduce JR to a guy that I'm dating right now, but it'll come in the future. But I'm thinking it'll be something like an open, like let's go on a family date and make that happen. But yeah, I would really be like, wow, like this is a good sign that he wants to get to know more about who I am and where I come from. Now, if it's a guy that I don't really like, I'm like, oh no, because like your kids, my mama would be like, no, that ain't it. Like, no. And I kind of scam people too, because JR is very particular too. So it's just like, this guy, he needs to be like sports, like minded, like he has to like sports, basketball in particular, know about basketball, know about football. So if he doesn't have those things, like I already know my son is not going to be interested. He'll be like, what? Who is this person? So, yeah. So that's my take on that. What about you? How would you feel?
Ooh, how would I feel? I think I agree. It depends on what space I'm feeling in this relationship or whatever this thing was with this guy. If I felt like, you know what, he is the one. Because I have felt like that with people, you know, and introduced to my kids. And, you know, fortunately, they had children.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, they have people to play with or whatever, you know, or connect with.
Absolutely.
Now, I think it's different when it's somebody who doesn't have kids. Then I think I get a little leery. Like, let me, you know, because kids can connect well with individuals. You know, and sometimes people who don't, now I'm not going to say everybody, but sometimes people who don't have kids or aren't around a lot of kids, like have nieces and nephews, don't necessarily know how to interact.
That's true.
With kids.
That is
so, you know, like sometimes I just be like, interesting.
Right. Especially kids at our kids' age. Like, they have personalities, they talk like they're really, like, form this identity for themselves. So they're going to be very vocal about whoever these men are. They're trying to be with their mamas. So,
So it would depend on, like, all of those factors for me. Because I've dated people who had no kids, you know, and weren't around kids either. But then I've dated people that didn't have kids, but they, like, had nieces and nephews, little cousins. Okay. And so, you know, like, it was just natural for them to like work with kids and just like love kids and things like that. Yeah. But it was harder for people who didn't have kids, who weren't around kids, for me to like even see myself with, because it was just like, because I don't know, okay, so for me, anybody that's talking to me, like, you know, if you ask about, so how are your kids doing? Immediately, you know, those are like key points I listen to. Because then it's like, okay, you not only are thinking about my well-being, but, you know, my kids. Because these are little people that are attached to me. Exactly. You know, it's a package deal. But, you know, when we talk like every day and you not once ever be like, how are the kids doing? And you know I got kids. I'll be like,
I don't like that either. I do not like that. Like, don't just act like my kid don't exist or because you trying to get exclusive to me. No, like, my kid is, we here, we together, we come as a deal. So
yes, and it's I feel that because I brought it up to this one guy, and this was like a few years back. And, you know, he was like, well, I have never met them. Like, and I was just like, well, you don't have to meet them to ask how they're doing.
Right.
So that, again, you know, but again, that was a guy who didn't have nieces and nephews, wasn't around kids. Okay. You know, so he didn't get it. But, you know, I was just like, ooh.
But that's good that you recognize that. And that's a good way to kind of, pick people out, because you don't want to be like, just to waste your time or waste their time. But there might be some people out there who don't have kids and don't necessarily like have a lot of nieces or nephews or something that may know, like, oh, let me. Because if they truly like you, then they'll make that effort to include the beautiful kids that you have too. So we don't want to discriminate against nobody, you know. Nobody writing under the video like, well, I don't got kids and I don't do that. So just want to bring it back.
Just our experience.
But it's our experience, absolutely. But I'm sure there is a wonderful guy out there who may not have kids, and he's like, well, how kids doing? Because they are just respectful. So.
Yeah, that's so true. So true. So Nuri and Yasir are heading to go meet his mama.
Where does she live? I feel like they live in California. But I was like, so where did they go to see his mama? Like, I was really confused.
Shoot, and I remember somebody responding to the comment on the Love Is Own's page, because somebody asked the same question, and I cannot remember.
Oh, so I'm going to have to look, or if you guys know, let us know. Because I was really confused, because I'm like, it looked like they drove down the street to, like, Compton or something. Because I was like, he didn't travel far away, like, he didn't leave home. Like, I was so confused. Like, you drove down the street to move to Okay,
that is true.
But I was really confused, so you know.
Right, I thought it would have to have taken like a plane to get or wherever they went to.
I don't know where they went, but I was really confused. So
that's a good.
We'll have to get that answered. So you know, Mara, Celine, if y'all can tell us the answer, we want to know.
And we know Cali is pretty big,
right? So I'm thinking like maybe they live in another part of California, because that's what it felt like. So
yeah, that's true. So, you know, they Miss Loretta Devine herself, the GOAT, y'all, met them at the door, and she was like, I was wondering who was there pulling up in this car, just so excited to see her baby. And she was like, oh, this the friend. He was like, girlfriend.
Yeah. See, and I'm glad he did that, like in her face, because on the phone it was like,
yeah, and I think she was just like,
and she said it. After he said it, she brought brought it back to the attention, like, so I'm your friend. But I'm glad he introduced her as girlfriend in front of his mom in person. Because I'm sure he felt like that gratitude, like he needed to be like, okay, this is what she is because she did this for me.
Yes.
So.
Yes, I love that piece, and so they walk into the house and get settled. But it was funny because, like, Nuri just was smiling really hard because she was so nervous, and his mom was, I'm going to call you Smiley. Right. Like, he just smiling like...
Oh, God. I was like, oh, Nuri. Like, girl.
Like, oh. But it made me think, what do I do when I'm nervous? I don't know. I get butterflies, but, like, that's like if I'm speaking or something. Like, meeting other people, I don't think I get nervous because I have to talk to people daily. Sure. And interact with people, so I don't think me meeting new people makes me nervous.
That's interesting. Me, I talk in front of people as an educator. I talk in front of kids a lot. So, and I mean, I interact with parents from time to time. But that usually doesn't make me nervous because the kids, like, it's easily for me to do that. But when I meet new people that I like, I laugh a lot. So, like, Nuri, like, she kept smiling, but me, I'll laugh. Like, it could be, like, inappropriate stuff, and I will laugh because I'm nervous. Like, guys will find that out, like, dating, like when I'm out on a date and I'm really nervous, like we'll be talking about something deep and I'll just laugh and they'll look at me like, but that's not funny, and I'm like, okay, I'm nervous, like let me tell you. So yes, that totally happened. Like one day I showed up to a date super late and he was looking at me like I was crazy and I'm laughing at him, but I'm like, this is not funny, but I couldn't stop laughing. I'm like, I don't mean to laugh because it's not funny, like I'm sorry I'm late, but I was nervous. So yes, I laugh.
I don't really have to think about that. Like meeting new people I like. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you want to, especially when it's mamas. Like mamas are, everybody loves mamas. So when you're meeting somebody's mom, it's like you want to put this like good foot forward. And first impressions are very important. So
they are.
It was just like, what do you do meeting a mama? So I'm glad she was smiling though. Like she didn't come off as having like an attitude or something.
Yeah, or seeming like bougie.
Yeah. So I'm glad she smiled.
Yes. But then his son Deontay comes through the door with Pops.
Oh.
Yes, too cute.
So was Pops his dad, or like was that just her?
I feel like that was his mama's book.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that was his dad.
Yeah, I thought that too. He was, but he seemed to respect him.
Yes.
So that was good.
Yeah. And so, he hugs him, and then he starts asking about his piano lessons.
Yeah.
Like, why ain't he there? And they sent the kids to the back room where they send all kids.
Right. Go to the back. Right.
We have this real conversation.
Swear, you in black families, you know that back room.
You know how many times as a kid.
Because we about to talk.
Yes, it was like all the kids go to the back. What?
Yes.
Like, no.
Yes. And then when you get grown and you don't have to go to the back anymore, you're like, these conversations foul. I
just go to the back.
I'll just excuse myself to the back and y'all take care of it. So
that is hilarious. That is the real truth.
Oh gosh, yes.
Oh God. So, Yasir just asking like, Mom, like I spent my last, like, you know how much that cost for me to get him in that, and she was just like, well, he doesn't like going, like he doesn't like doing that. And he was like, well, I don't care, like, that will help him be a better person. Just again, I think allowing him to get an experience that he didn't get, and allowing him to be, more diverse in what he does and applies himself in. And so it had me thinking, right, just as us, because Yasir made that reference just about us as black people, and like that mentality of just being like, oh, it's hard, so I'm not going to do it, or, just run away from it. And it had me think of like how often we do that.
Oh, yeah.
And I think like, I definitely was blessed as a kid to have certain experiences, but I know that I'm giving my kids a lot more experiences than I did have growing up. And they don't complain at this point, haven't complained about any opportunity given to them, but I see it like, okay, I'm helping them get a step ahead with their counterpart.
Absolutely.
You know.
Yeah, I agree to that. So I totally, as a parent, I got what he was saying too. Like, okay, well, just because he doesn't like it, like, he doesn't, I mean, he's 6. Like,
Exactly.
How can he really be like, well, I don't like doing this? And especially when he made the reference, like, well, it's new, of course it's going to be hard. Yeah. So not to let him, like, give up. But then I saw from the grandma side too, because that's how grandmas are. Yeah. Like, if their grandkid doesn't want to do something, they're going to be like, oh, okay, like, you don't have to do it. And then him as the father, like, he has to, like, no, like, I want him to be doing this. So I totally get that. Luckily, like, the activities that my son does, we don't have to force him to do it, because it's something that is of interest to him. But I remember me, like, as a kid, taking karate. And I was like, I told my mom, like, I didn't want to go anymore because we had to take our socks off. And I'm weird. So I was like, I don't want to take my socks off in front of everybody. Like, I just didn't like it. Like, I didn't like walking around barefoot. So I was like, I don't want to go no more. And my mom and my aunt was like, okay, we don't have to go. Because aunties do that too. Like, okay, whatever, you gotta go. My mom was like really mad. Like, I paid for that. Like, you should have kept going. Like, you don't get to tell me you don't want to do it. So I get it on both ends. And we as parents, we do have to expose our kids to different things that they might not necessarily be exposed to, and not letting them quit, because that's going to show up in other areas of their lives.
Yeah, that's a great one.
I would quit something in a minute, so it definitely showed up in my life.
That is so funny. Oh, that is such a great point. Yeah. And so, of course, you know, Yasir is getting upset. And I think that's where Nuri really saw another side of him, to be like, wait a minute. Because he was upset, too, with the mom. Just like, well, how's she not going to have him do this? You know, she always does this when it's me trying to do something. You know, so he's huffing and puffing, and like, Nuri, give me the keys. Like, he going to roll down on her. And I was like, I guess talk to her, yell at her, whatever. You know, and Nuri was just like, wait a minute, because Miss Loretta Devine is like, don't give him them keys. Right. You know, and Nuri's just like, he's like, Nuri, the keys. Okay, wait, like, you know, she not sure what to do. He's like, Nuri, just give me the keys. So she ended up just giving him the keys.
Yeah. And she shouldn't have.
Yeah, and she tried to calm him down, like, you see her. You know, you are upset, like, at least calm down for a minute, and, you know, he ain't hearing that. Hop in the car and drive off. You know, and both Loretta Devine and Nuri are just like looking, and then Nuri turn around. And it's like, well, at least you know what you're getting yourself into.
Exactly.
That's what the mama said.
Yeah, and if his mama is saying that, that's facts. It's 100% facts. Like, you can't fix that. And to break this part, that scene down, it's like you really see how his temper works and how he goes from like 0 to 100, like, pretty quickly. And whereas Nuri is I feel like really his voice of reason. And that's how they balance each other, that yin and that yang, where he is kind of like a live wire, like he's just go. And she's like, okay, let's stop and think and then go. But I feel like in that situation, like, instead of just giving him the keys and kind of being that submissive piece for him, that she should have been like, okay, either option A, no, like, let's calm down first. Like, let's go for a walk. I'll walk with you. Like, let's talk this out. Let's calm down. Or 2, like, I'll drive, and maybe during this drive, like, I can calm him down and, like, turn him around instead of actually, like, going to this woman's house. So I think she was very, like, submissive in that part, where I was just like, I don't know if I would have just let him blow up like that. Like, it would have made me feel some type of way to really not say something. Like, first of all, you disrespecting your mama. I don't like that. That's number 1. And number 2, you're about to go do something I know you're going to regret. So I feel like me, Chanel, like, I would have definitely, like, tried to stop him a little harder. But it's a show. So.
Right, it's not really.
Right, it's not.
But it's funny because, again, like, the therapist in me was just like, oh, he's too far gone because he's in his upstairs brain. And I was just like, when people are in their upstairs brain, they're irrational. There's no way to really calm them unless you do that grounding work. But I was like, for somebody that's used to being in their upstairs brain when something doesn't go their way, because that's also what I took from it. Like, you know, how much, you know, because I get it, just as a parent, you spent your last and stuff like that, but then are you looking at the other piece of it like, well, it was my decision, like y'all need to do what I say do, but it's like, because they were also talking about bits and pieces of like picking up, dropping off and things like that, and having that work between a few people, may be a struggle. But I just thought about different layers that slowly started to unravel, of course, as the scene progressed. So it was just different elements in there that I was just like, this is heavy.
Yeah.
Too many. Yeah. Too many moving pieces. But so eventually, Yasir comes back though. And it don't seem like he had talked to the mama, because she ended up coming a little later, knocking on the door, because he came back and he was like, or maybe he did.
Because she said that, like, he came to my house.
Yeah. And so, because he came back and told Deontay, you finna go, because as Nuri was like spending some time with him and reading him a book and having that moment, Yasir comes through the door, still, you could tell he was still steaming.
Ooh, he's gone.
And he was just like, Deontay, get your stuff. Your mama's coming to get you. And, he had to grab him so he can move and get his stuff, and then Deontay's mom is like knocking on the door and, they let her in. Child, when she saw Nuri, she's like, what?
Like, she went right for her. Like, woo,
baby.
I was just like, woo, better than me. Yeah, you just not about to run up on me. Like, that's what's not about to happen.
Yes, I was just like, whoa.
Oh, yeah, I was just like, I'm glad that Mara filmed it that way, like in a classy way, because I think with a lot of shows, like reality shows, it'd be beautiful, the two women. And, we don't need to see that. Like, how can we handle this like adults?
Exactly.
I mean, we are screaming and we're yelling, okay, but we want to get these emotions off, but the physical aspect of it, we see that far too much, especially amongst black women. So I'm glad that Mara didn't film it that way, or whoever the director was for the episode didn't intentionally like film it that way.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. But yeah, she coming and she sees Nuri like, I don't know her. How can you have her around my son? And you come into my home trying to dictate, what we do. Like, he doesn't like going to piano. He want to be outside with the other kids on the weekend. Why should he have to go to school every single day? Which she classified it as school, and he was just like, anything I try to do, you try and tear down. Like, so, they're going back and forth. And Nuri is just like literally standing there observing, taking in just so many moving pieces. And so, man, that scene was so intense. From even when Miss Loretta Devine stepped in and was like reading them. Yeah. I was like, go ahead, because they need to be read.
She did the right thing.
But it brought tears to my eyes, because as a single parent, like, I understand the struggle of day in and day out when you're tired, and you're trying to do 50 million things on this list and show up for your kids every single day.
Right.
And you may not have that support from the daddy, but yet you have the support from the grandparents, because that's what I have. And so it instantly put me in that mindset, like when me and my kid's dad first broke up, and I would be so mad, I would be like crying, just like, oh my goodness, like, you need to do this, you need to do that. But it was like, granted, you want this person to take responsibility and show up and do all these things. But if they have this family, so their parents that are willing to take initiative or whatever, it's like, you're grateful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And in the beginning, I wasn't necessarily, because I was like, it's not their responsibility. I was like, they didn't have the kids with me.
Right.
It should be you taking care of these kids.
Absolutely.
But I as I learned and got older and wiser, I was just like, well, at the end of the day, if I'm lacking something, I know these people over here can definitely help support that. Absolutely. Even if it isn't their dad. And for me to be okay with that. Because not everybody's going to be okay with that.
Oh, sure.
But I have to get to that place to be okay with that, to know, like, you know what? when you don't show up for your kids, like your kids get older and they know who's there and who's not there.
They'll place that judgment on their own.
Exactly. And so I had to let it go because I would be so angry to where like we couldn't even be in the same room without arguing. We couldn't say hi and it not lead into an argument.
Wow.
You know, like it was just so and too, because it was still like hurt, you know, and pain in the mix of that, because neither one of us ever was like, I'm sorry for what I said, how I said, you know, but it was just like instantly. But I remember it was like a few years after we, bless you, had broken up, and like, you know, I had to do that work and just like really heal and get over stuff. And it was just me being like honest with myself and like different roles I played. And forgiving him. And I had got to that place of like forgiving him or what have you. And I remember one day I was like, hey, or something. And like instantly, like that triggered him when he popped. I was like, whoa. Lord. But it was so funny because I had got to that place of healing, you know, for me to recognize that. But before, I wasn't in that space, and us saying hi to each other just triggered us instantly. Right into it, yeah. You know, and so for me, like, I literally remember calling him. I was just like, hey, what's going on? I was like, because we can't have a conversation, like, even after hi, without popping off at each other. And he was like, because, like, I remember you saying this, that, and the third, and I was just like,
bringing it close to,
right. You know, but I owned that and had to acknowledge that. And I was like, you know what, please forgive me. I was like, you know, because definitely I was in a place of hurt, which is, you know, definitely not an excuse for saying things people say. But, you know, like, I'm in a place where I've healed, and I don't want, you know, us to have this toxic relationship that our kids would see.
Absolutely.
You know, I don't want them to reflect that and emulate those things. And so literally that was our conversation for us to really like have that kind of truth moment and just like really forgive. And since then, and, you know, granted, sometimes from time to time we have definitely some communication errors where it just be like, I ain't say that, you know, no, but you know, we're able to like really talk through that stuff and communicate. Yeah. You know, before we couldn't. And so like that was serious growth, but it brought tears to my eyes just because I had been in that space and understanding like how much of hurt and pain you can harbor on somebody and not realize that.
Yeah, it sure can, especially if it's definitely unresolved. But thankfully, you know, you have the heart and the willpower that you have to recognize that within yourself. Like, okay, I need to go through this healing process because it's not going to work. Not for me, not for my children, not for anybody in this whole situation. So it's good you had the foresight to do that. And it seems like in this case on the show that neither one of them had the foresight to do that. They're still in this very angry spot. So Miss Loretta Devine, she was that median for them both to get their mind right. Like, look, you need to recognize that she's doing everything for your kid. And she don't want him to go, okay. She don't want him to go. She's with him 24/7, 365.
Right. When she's sick, when she started listening, like sick, tired, when she don't even want to do it, like it's real. She show up for this baby. And it made me think of the saying many people would say to me, like, well, mama's baby's daddy's maybe. And I was just like, how true that is. And granted, not to take away from any single fathers out there that's definitely rocking and rolling and doing it. But, you know, I think that is just like the standard thing is that we always see single mothers at the forefront who show up and have to like go through the fire and, you know, like just be there. So it just made me think about that saying that I've heard many a times for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad she kind of checked the mom too to be like, okay, well, he's gone. Like you cannot have him. Like the relationship is over. And I think that's where it touched me in my situation where it was just like, okay, albeit we co-parent, I feel like pretty well, like better than most people. Like we got the co-parenting, but as far as our relationship, it was very like, I'm upset with you because you didn't do what you said you were gonna do. Like, our relationship ended. Like, I didn't want to be in this situation at all. Like, why are we here? So I was mad, like angry for a long time. But I mean, we would switch weeks and we would make sure our kid was okay. But as far as our relationship, like, the communication was terrible. Like, we would go in on each other about us, like personal stuff. It never had anything to do with, oh, well, you didn't do this for our son or you didn't do this. But it was just us. Like, we had to figure out, okay, like, I really had to go deep within myself to be like, okay, everything happens for a reason. People come to your life for a season. Let's figure out what that reason was for. You got this beautiful son out of it. Move on. Like, I needed to get that in my head. Like, it ain't no coming back. The relationship is over it. Don't keep holding on to this piece of hope to say, oh, because I have his son, that he's going to come back to me. He's not coming back. So when she was going in on the mom about that, I was just like, he ain't coming back. So yes, I felt that. I was just like, and some women need to hear that. Like, they think because they have these children by men that's a sure way to keep them around. And we all know that that's not the case. Like you said, mama's baby's daddy maybe. Like, unfortunately, guys don't carry the baby. So it's very easy for them to be like, all right, I'm out of here. So yeah, that was a eye-opening scene to watch. But thank God they had Miss Loretta Devine, who delivered it the way that only she could deliver that scene. Yeah. I don't think anybody else could have done that. Maybe like Cicely Tyson, she a cold piece too. Yeah. Maybe she could be like his grandma or something. But
But Miss Loretta Devine,
she killed it.
Man, I was just like, wow.
Oh, she killed it. And I thought, like, once it all blew up and everybody's sitting there like crying and kind of thinking like, what's going on? Like, what just happened in front of them? Like, when she left off the scene and, she's not feeling well, I was scared. I'm like, oh no, like, what's about to happen to her? So that's a show. That's good writing right there. Because I was really if she like have a heart attack right now, like, I'm going to bust out crying. Like, I was really like in my feelings.
Yes. And even like during like Yasir and his son's mom exchanging words and about like, just being able to like take Deontay to the lessons, and he like, well, my mom then will take them. And then, Deontay's mom is like, well, have you seen your mama? She's not well, and blah, blah, blah. And Nuri is like in the back, like dropping ideas, like solutions. And what she said, what? A girl with solutions.
Yes, finally. Yes, about time. Yes. And I thought that was good for her to kind of insert herself there to be like, okay, well, how can I help? Because when you love somebody, you want the best for them. Like, even if it might not be what you necessarily wanted, but you're like, okay, well, how can I make this work for everybody? Because this is crazy. So I'm glad she did that and was kind of thinking of ways to kind of help out and not just standing there like a bump on the log.
Yeah. And I know some comments that I read too, and even in the therapy group, I was like, Jesus, therapists are playing. They was just like, child, I would not be staying around for that. Oh. They were like, that's too much drama for me. And I was just like, but again, I think love is, what you can carry or what you feel you can bear and take on. And I was like, so each person is different, but it had me thinking like, if that was me as Nuri and I saw that going on, I don't think I would have stayed. I don't know if the love would have been that strong, because I guess I'd just be like, and for me being a single mother, I don't come with baby daddy drama or whatever, Yeah. And so it was just like, I don't think, when you clear this up, then come back.
Yeah.
Like, let's figure that out. But once you clear this up, figure out what you're going to do, how you're going to do it.
Yeah. And I've actually been in a relationship with a guy who was having that baby mama drama, and it was just like, this is a lot. Because, again, the baby daddy drama I don't have. We had some other issues with us as a relationship with us, but no drama as far as like my kid is concerned. So, yeah, it was just, it was hard to deal with that. And then I felt like I would give my suggestions or my advice on what, how he should like take it. But then it came to a point where it's just like, okay, we focusing too much on this problem that you're having and less on us building a relationship. So at that point, I knew it wasn't going to work because he needed to work that out. Like, it was overpowering what we were trying to do. Yeah. Well, you know, hey, a season. Hopefully he took some notes and, you know, I'm sure he's happy and moved on. I believe he did. So he's straight. But yeah, no, but I always think about that too. Like, I mean, I've been in relationships too with people, you meet their family and their family is like night and day from your family. And that was something I had to get used to too. Like, just big families and, you know, spending time with families all the time. Because I don't come from a family like that. That's super huge and we spend every Sunday together and we're just, I don't come from a family like that. So when I was with this guy, his family was very much so like that. It definitely took me out of my comfort zone. Like, I was very like, oh, like, I don't want to be over here with all these people. Like, it took me a while to get used to that. And then when Sunday would come around, once I finally got used to it, I was like, okay, this family time. And like she said at the beginning, like, I want to know who you are. So I'm glad she stayed. You need to see this. This is a part of me right now. This is a layer of who I am. This is what's going on. Either you gonna continue to love me or no. So I think if she would have left, then that would have been like, you don't really love him. So I think that was an important part.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I'm just like, I think I'm like, this is too much.
Girl, I was like, she came in and muffed him. I was like, y'all taking this too far, girl. Like,
yes, like, it was for real.
Yeah, that was a real, chills. Like, that episode was great.
Yes, like, I think that is one for the books for sure for people. And, you know, and it's funny because, like, after, like, Yasir left, like, that piece of, like, even Nuri and Miss Loretta having a conversation because she was trying to figure out, like, well, what is your, you know, exactly your intentions with my son, basically.
Yeah.
And, like, I think you just, you know, a rich girl that's just trying to have some fun with this around the way type of boy. And she was like, I was born in Compton, like, I'm from Compton.
Okay.
And I was just like, oh, interesting.
Yeah. And then when she said that, I was glad that she said that, like, don't let all this fool you. Like, I didn't come from much either.
Yeah.
And and I feel like that was a code switching thing too. Like, despite where I come from, like, I'm not going to let that define who I am. And I think as Black people, we do that very well in most cases. Like, it doesn't matter what your zip code is or where you come from. I need to be above all of that. I'm not going to let my environment determine who I'm going to be. So I'm glad she was like, yeah, I'm from the hood too. However, I got my stuff together.
Yeah, no, I love that. But yeah, and so that scene ended, and Deontay was getting ready to head out, and you know, he was talking about the Tooth Fairy and how the Tooth Fairy know where to find him at, and then Nuri had took out the little envelope that she made and was just like, here you go, like, oh, the Tooth Fairy must be really confused because it's down here under this pillow, and it was the crystal
that was cute.
And then it talked about, like, if he brushed and flossed and different things, like the money went up to like $10 and $20. And that was so cute.
That was sweet that she
did that. It was funny because in that moment too, like, as he was reading the different amounts and Yasir was looking at Nuri, and I wonder, was he like, child, like, I can't afford that right now?
Right.
But again, looking at, you know, where he's at, not necessarily like, you know, as he continues to do the work to get to his end goal. So that was all I was taking in. And then it was the point where Wiser Yasir talked about, because Deontay's mom, I think she was the one that mentioned, like, him being spoiled, or Miss Loretta. It might have been Miss Loretta, because I think she mentioned, like, him puffing out his chest every time he comes down here, and expecting things to go his
the
way.
mom said that. The baby mama said that.
Okay, yeah, and so Wiser Yasir had mentioned, like, to be honest, he had been spoiled from Deontay's mom to his mom and to Nuri, like, them always, like, stepping up to the plate for him. And again, it had me thinking, like, how much, Because, again, you don't want it to be like, oh, she's being taken advantage of, because he wasn't asking for anything, but yet, Nuri always stepped up.
Okay.
And so for me, it was just like, how much is too much, though?
Yeah.
Because, like, with relationships, we know it's give and take.
Right.
And at this point, it looks like a lot of taking. And granted, not it's nothing intentional that he's doing.
Right.
But
yeah, and I think that's we'll start to see in the next episode. Because I feel like that too. Like, it's a lot of her giving of herself and her time, her money, and her talents, and just everything. Like, she's being very like open to sharing herself with him. And we really haven't seen him giving much of him in return. So I think that we will see that coming up, because she looked very distraught in the next episode.
Yes, which had me really freaked out.
Yeah.
But they end up back home, and Nuri's home, and Yasir's like, so you still want to be with me? And she was just like, well, if I didn't, I wouldn't be here, and things like that. And, again, throwing out the great ideas about taking his scripts to even Keith and then Norman, and allowing him to use a space in her house to create until she remodels it or whatever she decides to do with it. And so I was just like, again, her being selfless. Like, but it had me think, just us as women. And when we love somebody, child, we love them in every shape and form.
Absolutely, taking care of them. Yes, for sure. So I was just like, okay, here we go. But I mean, this is the very beginning. So I'm sure, like, as their relationship progressed, like, he was giving more. But at the beginning stage, it looks very much like, girl, stop now. Like, you giving him too much. And then it's like, how can he really appreciate you? You're just like giving it to him so willingly, with him not having to do very much of nothing.
Yeah.
So.
And again, maybe she's working off that potential.
Yeah, like, that's true.
Although you haven't arrived yet, I see this, I see that.
But that's a tricky gamble. That potential is a tricky gamble, because I do believe that you should pour into that, what that potential could be. But I need to see him doing something with it. And on this show, we haven't seen him writing not a nan script. So I'm like, what you doing? Like, he's had so many personal issues that right now career is absolutely on the back burner. I think they mentioned one, like his mom was like, yeah, I read a script, and Nori's like, yeah, I read it, I sent it to my agent or something, but that's really been it. So what kind of work is he doing right now? Like, I need to see the action behind the intention. So
well, we shall see.
Yes, I'm excited.
Yes.
We only got 3 more episodes left. Yeah, 3 more to go.
Yes. So this episode was definitely heavy and a lot. What would you say your love is from this episode?
I'm gonna say love is self, and not so much selfless, but we are love. Like, all of us are love. So to show that and be that for people, I think it's good. But remember to not pour from an empty cup. Okay, so you need to be whole too, but just know to give off that love. And hopefully Nuri is finding that within herself. But I think it's gonna come to a boiling point, because right now she's her career's on the back burner. I mean, she wasn't at work this whole episode, which is not like her.
That is so true.
So love itself, but be careful who you pouring that love into, that so that you're not so empty.
That's really good. For me, I would say love is raw. And love is raw because you're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah.
And it's knowing to continue to love the person through it all. Or is it really love, right? Because then we're talking about unconditional love, if you love them through the good and bad and ugly.
Yeah.
So maybe what type of love is it that you have for that person? So love is raw.
I like it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So yes, if you guys love this, definitely share and subscribe and drop a comment below in the YouTube comments area. Or if you're listening via podcast, definitely like, subscribe, rate us. and share with people. And let us know your takeaways from this as well, because we want to hear from you guys.
Absolutely. And just a reminder, you can connect with me. I'm Chanel at @singlesinthecity_.
And I'm Lakiesha at Lakiesha LPC on Instagram. And connect with our Instagram page, Love is Vlog Series _ on Instagram.
Yes, so we'll be talking to you all soon.
Yes.
Bye.